like Christmas. But I thought I'd read my piece, Christmas with the Yees, which is about a Chinese Christmas. Be assured that any resemblance between the Yees and my own family is purely coincidental. Don't think that Mr. and Mrs. Yee didn't like Christmas. In fact, with the sparkling lights, take this way. Is it that one? Okay. Don't think that Mr. and Mrs. Yee didn't like Christmas. In fact, with sparkling lights and yummy food, it was their favorite time of year. But they didn't believe in buying any gifts, and were annoyed if their sons, Edward and George, ages 7 and 5, ever brought them a modest present. "Don't waste your money on all that junk," Mrs. Yee said, waving off the offending present, horrified that money had also been spent on wrapping paper. "Just a homemade card is good enough." Frugality was the Yee's everyday mantra. 4,000 years of starvation in China's history was coded in their DNA, so money was something to be saved, not spent. Moreover, Mrs. Yee never could see all this fuss about the birth of Jesus, the Son of God. No one ever knew whether she called Jesus Jesus because she tended to mispronounce names of people she didn't quite understand, or she had simply heard that Jesus was a Jew. But for sure, she didn't think too much of a God who only had one son. As far as she was concerned, you would expect a supreme deity with any stature to have 4 or 5 children with at least 3 sons. And if a savior must be offered, why give up a precious male issue when a mere female would suffice? No, she would stick to praying to her ancestors who had proven their begetting worth by already granting her 2 sons. Surely the whole roasted pig she was planning to offer for New Year's would bring more healthy boys. The Yees thought it senseless to buy a tree when they had a perfectly good potted avocado by their balcony door. There was a hanging lamp in the corner which made a heavenly halo, and Mrs. Yee had a collection of little colorful plastic caps from soy and oyster sauce bottles. She let her children take them under the tree along with stars and ornaments cut from old Christmas cards. She was sure to first inspect them to make sure that she couldn't reuse the card by snipping off the bottom name of the giver. Even old birthday cards were recycled. She inserted Jesus between the lines happy and birthday, so the birthday card was transformed into a Christmas greeting reading, "Happy Jesus' birthday." As Christmas approached, the base of the tree was bare of any presents. Whenever gifts came in, Mrs. Yee scooped them up and took them to her room, cutting the tape carefully so she could reuse the precious wrapping paper. She began working on her recycling program. Mr. Yee had 8 brothers and sisters, and Mrs. Yee had 6. She spent the week before Christmas examining each gift so she could take presents given from her side of the family and use them for relatives on her husband's side. She had a book filled with lists of names and dates, so if she gave someone a purse, she'd be sure to give something different the following year. She waited until Christmas Day, when the presents all had come in, and then she spent the morning in a last-minute flurry making final decisions as to which aunt or uncle got this or that. If someone gave her a real dog of a present, she would retaliate by dishing out something quite vile for the wretched, stingy bum. Christmas morning, the children had finished opening their modest packages. They were always given valuable clothes for Christmas, not some frivolous toy. The one type of present that they did enjoy was necessary school supplies. Mr. Yi had just left to go deliver the presents to each relative's house when Mrs. Yi came bursting out of her bedroom yelling, "Daddy, where's your daddy?" "He left 5 minutes ago," Edwin said. "Oh no," she said. "I think I made a mistake and gave Auntie Chung the same present she gave me last year." She quickly loaded the kids into the car, thinking she would drive to Auntie Chung's house and intercept her husband. Auntie Chung lived in the furthest house on his route, so she should have plenty of time. She sat there parked around the corner out of sight for almost an hour, but they saw no sign of his car and finally returned home defeated. Eventually, Mr. Yi came home. "Where you go?" Mrs. Yi demanded as he entered the house. "What do you mean? I just got through giving everybody their present." "What about Auntie Chung's house?" "Hoi," said Mr. Yi. "I went there first, worked my way back home," he explained. "You fool," she fussed. "Don't you know how to deliver a present? You always go to nearest house first and furthest house last. Why can't I ever trust you do things? Where's your noodles? You're the one I sent out with my best chicken to sell, and when you bring back, no money, only bag of garlic. Just like Jack and Bean Plant's story. Then supposed to buy lettuce, come home with cabbage. I remember the time supposed to make jello, put in refrigerator, forget to stir, end up with jello soup." After she exhausted her memory of all his dumb deeds, she finally got around to explaining her awful mistake, skillfully framing the story so that all of the blame was on Mr. Yi. As it turned out, Mr. Yi had brought back a present from Auntie Chung, and when she opened it, it was an ugly vase. The same one Mrs. Yi had given to someone on her side of the family and somehow got passed on to Mr. Yi's side. They later figured out it must be because her sister had married the brother of one of Mr. Yi's sister's husbands. So the present must have traveled through this link to the other side of the family. Rather than feel placated since Auntie Chung was just as guilty in giving a recycled present, Mrs. Yi burst into a volley of Chinese curses. Curses which called upon poor Auntie Chung to lose all her luck, blight her fruit trees, have rice stuck up her nose. This litany of curses ended with a string of her favorite Chinese swear words, "Sat Tao, Jiao Tao, Bu Xi Lei, Dai Gao, Lan San," words which I am forbidden to translate. Eventually, Mrs. Yi retreated back into her oversized closet and spent the rest of the morning reviewing her list and making sure that everything was in order for next year's tally. Edward and George finally had a chance to take out their new school supplies. One of the pencils was yellow and the other red, but red was both their favorite colors. George had it first, but Edward grabbed it out of his hand. They started to yell and push each other. Mrs. Yi distractedly came out of the bedroom, a wayward piece of tinsel dangling from her hair. "Hey," she called out, "what all this racket about? Cut out that noise and stop fighting. Don't you know anything about sharing? This is supposed to be a day of peace." Throwing her hands up in the air and giving a scornful look, she indignantly added, "Where's your Christmas spirit?"